You know, every once in a while, a government document gets declassified that is just weird. So weird, it sounds like it's straight out of a science fiction movie. Today, we're looking at one of the most famous ones, a declassified workbook from the CIA that reads like a manual for the paranormal. So at first glance, you might think, okay, this is just some old workbook from 1977. It's from a place called the Monroe Institute of Applied Sciences, and it's called the Gateway Intermediate Workbook. But it's that little stamp at the top that tells you there is way more to this story. And boom, there it is, approved for release, CIA. This was not just some dusty self-help manual. This was a document that the Central Intelligence Agency was very interested in. So you gotta ask the question, why? What exactly was the CIA looking at here? What we're looking at here is a training manual for a program called Gateway, and its whole purpose was to teach people a very specific, and let's be honest, a very unusual set of skills. It's essentially a step-by-step guide to altering your own consciousness.
And get this, right there on the cover, there's this really stark warning. It says the contents are restricted and that trying these exercises without the right training could cause, and I'm quoting here, undesirable and uncontrolled effects. So right away it sets this tone of secrecy and, frankly, a little bit of danger.
Okay, so before you could get to any of the really wild stuff, the program started with the absolute basics, getting your mind ready. The entire system is built on this very specific foundation of belief and, mental discipline.
The very starting point was an affirmation, a statement you had to completely and totally internalize. The core idea is that your consciousness isn't just stuck inside your brain or your body. You had to accept this premise, really believe it, before you could even begin.
All right, so the first big goal, the first state they want you to reach, is something the manual calls Focus 10. This is crucial. Imagine your mind being completely awake, totally alert, but your physical body is fast asleep. That state right there, that's the launching pad for everything that comes next.
So how do you even get there? Well, the main physical technique taught in this workbook is a very specific breathing exercise. But it's not just about oxygen. It's about visualizing and directing what the manual just calls energy. The exercise kicks off with step 1. You visualize yourself inhaling not just air, but fresh energy from all over your body, pulling it all up into your head. Okay, so once you've got all that energy collected up there, step 2 is to just swirl it around. The whole point is to concentrate it, to build up this energy field right inside your own mind. And finally, you exhale. But as you breathe out, you visualize pushing all the stale, used-up energy down through your entire body and out through the soles of your feet. The whole cycle is meant to cleanse and charge your system. So once you've mastered that breathing, and you can get yourself to Focus 10, the program introduces what it calls a toolkit, basically a set of visualized instruments that you can use to further manipulate your own consciousness and energy. The first, and maybe the most important tool they give you, is the Energy Bar Tool, or EBT for short. This is something you're trained to create and control entirely within your mind.
So what is it?
Well, you imagine it as a bar of pure, bright white light that you can literally turn on and off. The manual says its whole purpose is to stimulate and focus non-physical energies. It's kind of like your psychic multi-tool for everything else you're going to do.
The next tool in the box works directly with the first one. It's called the Living Body Map, or LBM, and you can pretty much think of it as your personal energy diagnostic system.
You visualize a silhouette of yourself, and you scan it for any dim or flickering areas which are supposed to be energy imbalances. Then, you use your Energy Bar tool to charge these weak places, and it specifies using bright purple healing energy. So you're basically performing psychic self-repair. Okay, take a deep breath. Because this is where the training goes from these meditative exercises into something truly extraordinary. All of this preparation, the breathing, the affirmations, the mental tools, it was all building towards some very, very advanced applications. And here it is, spelled out right in the document. It describes techniques to perceive distant events and people, what most of us would call remote viewing, and even exercises to leave your physical body. Yes, we are talking about out-of-body experiences. Now, to do this, you're going to need a vehicle. The workbook instructs you to create something called a REBEL, which stands for Resonant Energy Balloon. It's described as a protective field of energy that you can actually use to travel outside of your body. And this diagram actually shows how it's done. You use your breath to visualize energy flowing in a continuous loop, up and down around you,
until it forms this swirling, egg-shaped field of energy that completely surrounds your body. That thing? That's your raw ball.
Once the rebell is formed, the workbook gives these incredibly specific instructions for starting an out-of-body experience. I mean, this is not vague stuff. It provides 5 distinct methods for separating your consciousness from your physical form, like rolling out like a log in water or going out the head like a gas.
But it wasn't all just about astral projection. The final section of the workbook actually brings these esoteric skills back down to earth. It lists a whole set of daily tools for you to use in your normal, physical, waking life. And this list is just fascinating. It ranges from the really practical, like getting better sleep and reducing pain, to the straight-up superhuman, like charging your body for great speed and strength. It's this bizarre mix of self-help and something out of a comic book.
So what are we really looking at here? Was the Gateway Workbook a genuine guide to exploring the limits of human consciousness? Or was the CIA investigating a training manual for creating psychic operatives? The document provides the step-by-step method, but the real purpose behind it all? Well, that remains a mystery.